Yeah. uh-huh. Yeah. Shit. Grams leaders CC's, pounds. Close cash, close call, close encounter, close up, pounds of liters of grams, get your dose up, cut this up, post up, and get dosed up. This for them voted like the move and make the most of. Monday night at 8, I can't wait to set you straight. These opinions and debates for them folk that can't relate. I gotta elevate your mind through these signs of the time. Dishing out that medication for that deaf, dumb and blind. And I ain't hard to find, you can catch me in no trenches. I do the groundwork and I ain't waiting on no sense. I be touching on them topics politicians fail to mention. And I don't vote for nobody that ain't got good intentions. I'm relentless for my people and I'm here to make a change. I got that true serum hooked directly to your vein. Hey, this is for my people, tune in, catch a close up, close up, close up, a close up, grams of it, tune in, liters of it, close up, pounds of it. Pounds of it, yeah, grams of it, liters up, pounds, get your dosed up, dosed up, dosed up, dosed up, dosed up, dosed up, dosed up.
So you can't hear me? Alright, so I tell you what, that's okay. Call that number I gave you. Hold on. Alright, so look here, y'all. We on Dosed Up today. It's Monday night at 8, obviously. Me and Lab got some shenanigans going on where we have a guest and she can't hear me right about now. So we are trying to get this going so you can hear both of us at the same time. So just bear with us. This is like a little new thing we got going. But in the meantime, my guest is StellNova. And I'm quite sure she has some interesting things to say to us. Weekend recap. Lab, I didn't really do too much, but set this up right here.
That's it.
Well, did a little bit of talking to possible investors, you know what I'm saying? And just getting everybody on the right track and right frame of mind to what we got going on, getting ready to go into the new year for me.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm trying to do, like get everything pretty much set up so that I don't have to start out, you know what I'm saying? It'll already be in play. Can you hear me now, Stella?
Can she hear you now?
I'm looking at her. Her face looks like, can you hear me? No, she can't.
She still can't hear you? Well, I don't know what that's got to do with it. That ain't. It's not plugged into anything.
You sure?
No, your phone's not plugged into anything. If she called that phone, we'll be able to hear her.
Okay, well, call that number for me. Oh, she can't hear me though. She looking at me though.
Tell her to call the number.
She can't hear me though. That number that I gave you. She gonna be like, So look, I just put the number down on my paper and show it to her.
Right.
We'll just use a little bit of our brains, get a little Scooby-Doo going on.
Right.
678. Yeah, and by the way, anybody else that might want to call me and chat or something like that, the number is 678-740-9894.
I'm trying to figure out what that hum is.
I'm finna show her the number.
I can't figure out the humming noise now.
You can't? One of them sound like a fan.
You think that's what it is?
Something over there, yeah. That is. Over there?
Oh, that's your mic not plugged in.
Oh, sorry, it's not? So is this why? Can anybody hear me today?
Oh, I can hear you.
Oh. Yeah. All right. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good.
They can't hear you on your phone because your phone broke. Your phone broke.
You sure about that?
Unplug it. Unplug that.
Unplug this.
Now see if they can hear you.
This ain't nothing but my charger.
That might be. I don't know.
Hey, well, you know what? I tell you what. How you know they can't hear me on my phone? She can't.
Can anybody else ask anybody else that's tuned in? Can they hear you?
Maybe I need to get her off.
Or maybe. Or maybe you need to log out and log right back in.
I'll try that.
They say Slick say she can hear you on the YouTube.
Damn, she can hear me on the YouTube because Slick don't be on Facebook.
Yes, she do. But we go on a different Facebook. We on our Facebook.
And she can still hear me.
Yes.
Oh, I think it's just her.
Okay.
Maybe I shouldn't be bringing people on. Maybe I should just
tell her to just call the phone.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. All right.
log her out, and then tell her to call the phone. 678-740-9894. You can call it any time and have a conversation.
Bruh.
On those stuff. It ain't just gotta be invited. You can do it randomly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Let's see if maybe she might catch that and call. Second option, hopefully she will.
IG is good. Facebook is good.
Yeah.
YouTube is good. That's what Slick's saying.
I mean, well,
Well, anyway.
Exactly. All right, there we go. All right, so they saying they can hear me on Facebook. What's up, Stella? My bad about that. It must just be something with our connection, but we got you on live, so we'll just do it.
I can barely hear you, though.
Well, I mean, that might be.
Pull the phone closer.
What about now? Can you hear me now?
Pull the phone closer.
It's very fuzzy and very low.
What about now?
Nope.
Okay, can you hear me? Because we can hear you good.
I can hear you, but it's just very low.
Okay, well, you're sounding great. As long as you can hear me and my listeners can hear me.
You're sounding great.
Yeah.
As long as you can hear me and my listeners can hear me.
Bro, that feedback.
That's
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we just had our little weekend recap, and I think my viewers may be interested into who you are. So can you introduce yourself, if you don't mind?
Stella.
I'm sorry, what?
Can you introduce yourself, if you don't mind, to the viewers?
Yeah. I'm StellNova. What's up, everybody?
Hey.
Yeah. Okay, Stella. All right. Anything that you would like to tell us about yourself before, I get into maybe some questions and things like that?
Well, it's just hard to hear you. So, like I said, I'm StellNova. I am a lot of things. I'm an author, a writer, a creative artist, an actor, a podcaster myself. I have my own podcast. It's, on like 7 different platforms. It's just audio for right now because I have 2 separate podcasts. I have one that's audio only, and then I'll be producing another one soon that I can't actually talk about it because I just signed an NDA. So I'm a super creative.
Awesome. What was your favorite episode, or how many episodes of your podcast have you aired, and what would be your most favorite so far?
I have over 200 episodes,
yes, okay.
About 13 or 14 seasons, because I think I did like 20 episodes per season. And so here's the thing. Let me tell you about how it kind of started, and then I'll get into that. So a friend of mine was like, okay, because I talked about, doing another podcast, because I've been doing podcasts since Blog Talk Radio, so I'm not new to this.
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking to my friend about, I want to do another podcast, but I don't know what I want to do yet, blah, 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 and I need a co-host. And so he was like, why? And I was like, because. No. And so he was like, no, you can carry this all on your own. And I was like, but can I? And he was like, yes, you can. You should do it. And so I was like, all right, what do I want my concept to be? So then I started thinking, and I was like, I want to do something where I'm just being me, unscripted, unedited, just me practicing comedy, me talking about life, love, and other disasters from a comedically skewed perspective, which is my tagline.
Okay.
So that's basically what I started doing. So then I don't know what prompted me, but I looked at my phone, I looked at my notes, and I had over 500 note recordings, like voice recordings, voice recording notes rather, not in my notes, but it was a voice recording. And I was like, dang, I didn't even realize I had been recording all this stuff for all these years. So I started listening to stuff from way back, I'm talking like 4 or 5 years ago. Well, more now, because my podcast has actually been out now about a year and a half. So I started listening to stuff, and I was like, oh, I already got content. So you know how we Virgos are. We just be doing stuff, and then all of a sudden that stuff turns into something bigger. So I was like, oh, shoot, this is dope. So I started posting them. and I taught myself how to use Canva, and I make all my little art jackets, and the little, what do you call it, the thumbnails. I make all of them myself. They're fun, and I use my Bitmoji most of the time because I think it's kind of fun and cool and it's different. And so so Boxing Stella podcast, it's named that way because people are always trying to box me in. They're like, oh, why don't you just stick to this, and why don't you just do that, and why don't you just do this? And I'm like, nah, why don't you just do that one thing, and I'll go do the 10 things I'm working on. Because how people always want to limit people, and they're like, oh, you should work on this. No, I'm gonna work on what I want to work on because Spirit is moving me to do what I do, and I'm capable. Okay, so I'm gonna be quiet now because I can get along with it.
You're capable. Okay. So you mentioned the podcast, but I've known you for a long time, so I know you also have a book. And can you give like a brief summation of your book and like how you went about gathering your content on that? Because it sounds like I like the way that you gather content for your podcast. Do you do something maybe different for what you actually write?
Yeah, so my book is, and I forgot to tell you one of my favorite episodes, because I have so many, but one of my favorite is The Devil Doesn't Even Like Us Anymore. It's something like that. Wow. And then another one is WTF, you're doing too much, or they're doing too much. I love those. Those are like two of my favorites. Okay, so on to the book. Life in Question book has been published for almost 7 years now. And I started writing this when I was getting my divorce. It's been 8 years since I've been divorced. So actually, I think it might be going on 8. I guess 8. Well, no, because it took me 2 years to write it. So yeah, it's pretty much about 6 years old.
It's been that long
Life
ago?
in Question.
Wow.
What?
I said it's been that long ago. I remember I bought one.
Yes, thank you for your support.
Oh, yeah.
Have you actually used it?
I use whatever I bought from you. Of course.
To help you get to know people better. So basically, again, it's titled Life in Question, the Urban Book of Questions. And it's basically just over 1,000 questions to help you get to know yourself and others better while having fun. I call it the #dating Bible, #wingman, because that's literally what it is. And I'll give you an example. When my son was like 17, he was going away to the service, and of course, he's starting to really, feel himself and talk to girls and stuff like that, because he kind of came into himself a little bit later. And so young girls, especially in his age group, they weren't talking. They're just, they sit on the phone and twirl their hair and, talk about little baby and money and bags and getting the bag, but they didn't really have any real conversation. And my son is not like that, because he came from me. So he has depth. So he's like, man, Ma, your book was awesome, because I had to use it to try to get a couple of girls to open up and actually talk and have a real conversation. Okay. And I was like, yeah, I feel sorry for you, buddy. But, I mean, there's just so many fun questions in here. There are different sections. I purposely put things kind of all over the place in the book. Like, there isn't a section that's just about sex, or a section just about career, or a section just about friends or family. I mixed up all the questions because I wanted people to skip around in the book. Because, people will get lazy and be like, I'm just going to look at the sex question. Nope. You're going to look at this whole book. So it's kind of all over the place in an organized fashion. There's like a fill in the blank area where I suggest, and there's the suggestions are actually in the book as well, where I suggest that people, hey, put like 3 to 5 seconds on a timer, probably 3 seconds to make it more challenging, and get you some drinks or whatever, people's party favors are. And what you do is you have like a group of people, and there's one person who's supposed to ask the question, but you have to fill in the blank. And in 3 seconds, the next person has to fill in the blank, but they have to say something different than what you said. So it gets challenging. And if you accidentally say the same thing that someone else said, you got to take a shot.
Oh, interesting.
So that's fun. And then there's like the yes or no questions area. There's even a section for LGBTQ plus, which I'm sure that's probably changed. And some of those questions are probably like obsolete now, because that community changes so rapidly. So anyway,
you plan on making a sequel, writing a sequel to it, or
You know
a
what?
series of
This
it?
is gonna sound so bad. I got sidetracked for a few years, did some spiritual work, and just kind of put that kind of stuff on hold. I have 2 books that I'm supposed to be finishing that I have not finished, and I will get around to it. But I have started the sequel. I was actually supposed to do a teen version, and I was going to do a younger youth version because I thought it would be helpful for parents to be able to relate to their, their youth.
Okay.
Like asking questions a certain way, using certain slang and that sort of thing. But that stuff changes so rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, nobody says on fleek anymore. So it's like, oh, okay. So I write the book. I publish the book and put on fleek in there. And it's like, this book is old.
Yeah. I mean, but to me, slang was never really that important. But yeah, they keep it. They upgrade it and update it every so often. So you do have to be, I guess,
but
if you want to know what somebody's talking about or be current.
So that's the whole point of parents being able to relate to their children on their children's level, not on our level.
Yeah. So, where do you see yourself business-wise within the next 5 years?
Well, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to hold myself to it. I'm going to finish these next 2 books. Mm-hmm. The one I'm working on it's a story for my son, and he doesn't know it yet. It's a surprise for him.
Oh, okay.
It's a fictional story, but it is kind of loosely based on him and who I think he is. And I won't say too much into that because I don't think he's going to see this, but just in case. And then the second one, of course, would be the sequel to Life in Question, and I'll probably, like I said, focus on the teen version.
Okay, so do you plan?
And I have some other big fish to fry, but again, I can't talk about it.
Oh yeah, this sounds like I'm about to ask you a question that you might be like, that's one of the things I can't talk about. But do you plan on making visuals to these things that you're talking about, like a skit or short story, short movie, a video? Filming what you're writing about at any point.
Not necessarily. The next podcast that I'm working on, yes, that will be visual. That will be audio and visual. So that, yes, but the book, no. Now, on the other hand, the Young A, the YA book, Young A, the YA book, Young Adult, it's kind of the same thing. That, I would love to, it's the type of story that you could see in an animation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Animation.
Kind of like Lord of the Rings, but on a very much smaller scale. Like, I'm not going that deep. It's just a very sweet, simple story, but it just kind of puts you in the mind of, oh, do you remember The Princess and the Frog?
Yeah, I do.
So kind of like that. It's very fantasy. There's lessons in it, that kind of thing. It's like a cute little story for my son about self-discovery. It's going to be dope, but I don't want to go too far into that, like I said, because it's a surprise for him. It's something I want to leave behind, because I didn't really think that there were a lot of books for young adult boys. I have since done some research, and there's quite a bit of it now, but there's always room, because a good story has to be told.
Well, I mean, you're very talented and creative, so you're right. There's always time and there's always room and space for a story that you probably tell. From what I can see, you have new and innovative ways and things and methods of making it come across too.
You're breaking up.
Oh, my bad. And you also have a little bit of modeling in your background career too. So I think that plays a part in your creativity as well. But the last question that I wanted to ask you is what is your best trait, and how does it separate or differentiate you from others?
I think my best trait is my resilience. They're kind of twofold, if I may. My resilience and my authenticity.
Okay.
Because to me, authenticity is like the highest form of loving yourself. Because you can't truly love yourself unless you are truly being yourself.
You're absolutely right about that. I think self-confidence and self-awareness is definitely key and vital nowadays, for at least for my mental stronghold. I mean, because every day that I leave the house is always some kind of test. Even if you just see someone that's doing worse than you're doing, or in a situation that you might not be able to help, but you still are able to see this going on. A lot of that just brings me back to reality, and it just makes me thankful for the most simplistic things in life. So yep, you are right. Definitely loving yourself. Which is about to just start bringing me to the topic of tonight's discussion, which I appreciate you deciding to talk with me about.
Thanks for having me on.
I'm saying, like, to some of my listeners, like, it seems like nowadays we promote a lot of either money, sex, violence, or the negativity. It's like trending topics always seem to be someone else's problem or negativity. We continuously want to talk about crime or criminals, and just, maybe strippers, or just, famous people and what they have going on, as opposed to just being realistic in what we really want for ourselves. And it's some of the things that we don't want to happen to us, the people that we give, I guess, credit to and we look up to, are doing these things to other people. So my topic and discussion today would be, like, I have 5 things that if I could implement them into society, what would make it a little bit better for all cultures, or all people. And I asked you to come up with 5 topics as well. And so my first thing that I would probably try to do to change society drastically or dramatically in a positive standpoint would be, like, I think it would be imperative. I would have mostly everyone learn how to irrigate land or grow plants and vegetation and fruit for at least their region, like grow herbs and spices, learn how to catch and purify water. Also, like, understand the insects and animals in the region which are poisonous and which have maybe like medicinal properties that we can either barter, trade, sell, and you can eat your supply if you learn how to do some of these things, I would say, naturally. I think that would be able to help a lot of people being able, like, just like I say, to grow some crops.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
That would be good, and that's something I feel like should have been taught. Those, to me, are the classes that should have been taught when we were in high school, instead of some of the stuff that we had to endure.
Yeah, I remember. My bad. Go ahead.
If it wasn't Black history, the other history, I just felt like I don't want to know this because y'all lying anyway.
Or, I mean, there were just times when you're, like, spending hours in art class, which, if you're not necessarily going to be using the color wheel, if you knew how to fish or something, or catch some water and purify it, wood tech. Yeah, wood tech was great. I remember that. They even had home economics class. We've talked about this before on my podcast, so it's good to see that, you know what I'm saying, you think kind of similar. What would be one of your first idea that you would implement?
So, look, I went heavy.
Go for it.
Stricter laws.
Okay.
For sex crimes of any kind. Mm-hmm. I feel like, because there's so much stuff that slips through the cracks to me when it comes to stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I know you said you don't really want to talk about too much crime stuff, but I mean, this is one of my 5 things I think should change in society. I really think that it would be beneficial for people who are sex offenders to have a bracelet, almost like a scarlet letter, a bracelet that's a certain color and it can't come off, to let people know what kind of thing this person was into. You understand? Like, pink might be, he's got that pink, he was a sex offender for kids.
Okay. But
I know the world is so tries to be so fair with people like that they won't do it, because imagine somebody with who has children, just like when they go to jail, like sex offenders end up getting, a lot of times they get beat up or killed when they're in jail. They probably wouldn't last on the street if we could recognize them for who they are,
Well, I mean, technically, they don't necessarily last on the street as is unless they're being secretive with it. I will say a lot of people don't stand for that, but nowadays what is sad is when certain parents are involved because they're on drugs and then they neglect the child and things like that happen. Um, I would say with your idea of strict laws, that would probably maybe put some type of fear or apprehension into some people. It just
Yeah,
depends
because
on.
imagine if you had
Mhm.
to walk around with that on your wrist.
Well, they would have to have other measures, I'd say, let's say for the offenders that would unalive someone or the offenders that do like harsh, violent crimes, a
Yeah.
bracelet, like maybe, I don't know, eye for eye type thing, something similar to that. But
Well, it's just a color. It's just a colored bracelet where you can recognize who these people are,
hmm
and then you can steer clear of them.
So you spoke to piggyback off of crime. That's actually my the second one that I would choose. But I said that I would probably dedicate a country or an island strictly for criminals. And on that island, it would be rehab facilities where they could have medication. They could actually learn trades on these islands. It would be psych facilities on these islands to differentiate what might be like psychotic behavior that could be from a deficiency as opposed to just criminal behavior. I would still on this particular island isolate the violent criminals from other type of criminals. And
Shoot, why we got to be in the city and they got to be on a beautiful
no,
island
that's the
learning
thing.
all
This
that
is
stuff?
nah. Hey, well, see, you separate them from society. They on a particular island. Did nobody necessarily say the island had ideal weather or anything like that? They in a facility and they're
Yeah.
they're taken away from society so that they can't affect us while they be rehabilitated. And on this particular
I
island,
understand that. I was making a joke about how
Oh.
the fact that it's an island,
And
it's probably
look,
got beautiful water and pretty
kidding
trees.
me, the island of Dr. Moreau. Hey, but look, the funny thing too now about this island, it would be a step down facility, like where they would have to spend like a transitioning period where you're supposed to be coming back to regular civilization, which would be us. When that step down facility, you got to spend about 5 years there to prove, you know what I'm saying, that you aren't about more crime or that you have been rehabilitated. Something similar to that, because the way that I'm looking at things now, people get put in jail and they learn worse tactics than when they were in there. When they come out, they go right back in, do more damage. It's like, and they get contraband in there. They still can affect people from the inside on outside. So it's like, what do you really? What does anyone really learn?
What's the purpose?
Yeah. What's your second one?
Actually, I kind of gelled 1 and 2 together, so I'll skip to number 3.
Okay.
Free stock for retirement. Free stock for retirement for people who make less than a certain amount. Because I feel like we just don't take care of our people enough. And then I'm not talking about black people. I just mean people, period. We don't take care of humans.
Yeah. That's what this is about.
It's like these people are left to die of their pains, and they don't get to get good health care. They don't get to, because they can't afford it after a certain point. It's like, it's so hard out here for so many people that they can't. What about the people who can't even take care of themselves right now from day to day? What are they going to do later? They have nothing. They have no choice, no nothing. That is just crazy to me. The world is just not fair. It's classism and racism, sexism, moneyism. It's like, share it so that there's less want for people to destroy things or steal things or hurt people to get what they don't have. Like,
well,
you know what I'm saying? I just feel like give them some stocks that accumulate money over time so that they have a little bit to take care of themselves when they're older.
Honestly, I think it's so far gone now because we took the bait and switch.
None of this stuff will ever happen.
It's for I think the worst thing that people could have done is trade natural resources for money. Simple as that. Think about it. With no money, you can't buy anything to eat. But if you have land and you know how to grow something, you don't necessarily need. You can kind of do that without money. But once we put all our faith in money and we took all our skills of nature and all of this other things, innate skills of survival.
Yeah, but they hoarded it and only gave it to certain people.
That's that. Well, I mean, it's not even necessarily hoarding it. It's we bought into the system. If people don't buy into anything, now you have to do things forcefully and try something forcefully, and now everybody has an equal chance. You might have more money than me, but you might not be stronger than me. So what you then would have to do is try to buy more weapons or get more people against me. But once again, I would say there'd be more poor people than rich people. There are more people that don't own resources that do. So if the people that don't own the resources decide they want to get in on some resources, then you're gonna have a problem. But nobody want to do that. Everybody guess what they want to do? Go run and try to make more money. But how you gonna make more of something don't nobody print? And if they do make more money, then all they got to do is just decide is inflate taxes on it. Or, I mean, it's always a way they out there a chess move or two ahead on the board. So, I mean, but I get what you're saying. My third one would be fair wages, since we are playing this money game. And I'm like, our wages should reflect the effort and the work that we do, and that we accomplish. The price of living should not drain us of our wages. Print the money according to our needs and our spending habits. Create monthly allowance and stipends for all citizens. If we blow that monthly stipend along with what we working for, then maybe penalize us, or don't, we just gotta wait till next month. But
I wouldn't say penalize us, because
but
that's too much to keep up with.
At some point, I take responsibility for how I spend my money. You know what I'm saying? How I make it sometimes isn't always on me. Meaning, like, you can make overtime and they tax the hell out of you and not pay you what you're worth. You can be, you know what I'm saying? Work 12 hours and then they still give you a certain wage per hour. I don't necessarily have that control over that, but I do have control over how I spend my money. So at some point, if the government gave me six racks just off the blue, sure they're gonna tax it, but they just gave me 6 racks. If I blow that 6 racks within a week, and I'm like, oh man, the government tripping, they always tax, they never give nobody money. I need more money. At some point, I gotta put myself in check. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you gotta take accountability.
So exactly. So with that being said, if they gave us some stipends and some allowance, maybe we would probably start taking some type of accountability or responsibility, because we would at least feel respected that someone's paying us. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's still going to be, there's still always going to be, the world is about duality, and there's always going to be duality no matter what. We can never, ever, ever fix everything. It's not meant to be fixed. This is a school. It's meant for us to learn through and ebb and flow through those negative situations and scenarios, because they build character. So it's just not possible to just make it easy for everyone. It sounds good, but unfortunately it just doesn't work that way, because life is light and dark.
But honestly, sometimes it might not necessarily be that people are making things easy for everyone, but they do make it feasible. Because I will say, think about it, the righteous route is the hardest route, to be honest with you. The righteous route is the route where you got to get up and work every damn day almost. You see what I'm saying? Where you gotta you're not participating in, I guess, what the recreational drugs, and you're trying to eat right and healthy, and you're helping people. Righteously is hard as hell to do. So with that being said, I think if we had, I guess I would say, righteous people that could implement some of these things we have going on, or if it was righteous people at the head of these corporations that have a stronghold on some of these resources, you would see a change. Just think about it, like if we own Tesla or we own Apple or something, and the way that we're talking right now with each other, what we possibly would be doing, we definitely would be, you know what I'm saying? We would have an impact and we could do some help. We wouldn't be creating a particular product that's going to take people's jobs and money. I know I would be doing that. What would be your fourth one? Because you said your third one.
Yeah. And something you said kind of spilled into my number 4. I just said make it easier to farm on your own land, no matter where you live.
Got you.
Just everybody should be able to do that where they live. Period.
In their own region, you know what I'm saying? Wherever they're at. You're absolutely right. I just think it sounds like I don't understand how people aren't necessarily worried or a little bit concerned that they don't have these skills, because to me it's almost like being naked in the wintertime, and you definitely don't know how to make a pelt or something like that. You see what I'm saying? Like, what do you do? Like, do you just depend on someone else to give you something? Can you go out there and chop a tree down or something and make some fire for yourself? Can you make an arrow? Can you do something? You know what I'm saying? What do you do to clothe yourself or to feed yourself?
Yeah, you don't really see like Boy Scout and Girl Scout programs as much anymore that used to teach those kinds of things. So maybe it sounds like maybe that might be something of your calling. Maybe you should put together a program for youth where you teach some of these basic life skills and charge the parents per head, like, hey, $50 a kid, and you teach them, whatever. So these lists of things, because I took some things like that. I mean, my son knows that kind of stuff because he went to the military. Yeah. And I know some of the things that I taught him that I learned in high school. Like, of course, I mean, I'm an adult, so I knew it anyway. But like, I taught him. I used to do things with my son, like make the phone calls, and I would make him stay on the phone with me so that he could hear how to handle himself as a man. Like, you're going to have to learn how to make phone calls and ask questions and, create, start your phone service, find your own place, go buy a car. I taught him a lot of that stuff via FaceTime because, like I said, he left when he was 17. So, he understood. He knew a lot of stuff, and he had to help a lot of his friends that he met when he went to the military. He's like, Ma, I really didn't realize how much you taught me, about life skills and how much other kids just didn't know. Because I taught him how to take care of himself, inside, like how to eat right. My son is waking up in the morning and going to, the commissary and the food place, and he's getting fruits and potatoes and eggs like a breakfast. He said most of the kids, like a good 90% of them, they would just go grab a pizza and a soda or a candy bar, like they didn't know how to eat. They didn't know how to eat right. They didn't even have the wherewithal to want to treat themselves better. And I didn't teach my kids that. I taught my kids to love themselves. I'm like, you are a temple. You're basically like a demigod. You should be treating yourself, and I break it down to people like, look, especially men, when I'm talking to the fellas, I'm like, fellas, if you had a Lamborghini, would you go and put unleaded gas in it? And they look at me like, hell no. And I'm like, exactly. I'm a Lamborghini. So no, I'm not going to be putting trash in my body on a regular basis. Like, and I say that because I'm not perfect. I've had times where I just didn't have the money, and I did what I had to do. And, a lot of people don't know this, but I actually spent 4.5 months homeless. So I didn't have a whole lot of money. I was trying to get things together. So, you know what I'm saying? How you treat yourself is how you see yourself.
So, I mean, a lot of the times what I see kids making decisions for the parents, and I see parents wanting to pacify their kids with whatever it is, like, oh, if they point at cupcakes, things. That's what they're going to get. Now, they pacify them with things a lot of times. With me, I mean, just because it looked enticing and good to my daughter, I'm like, what you eat got consequences to it. So you want these sweets and you ain't going to have no teeth, then you're going to be scared to smile. Things like that. But my fourth one that I had that I think if we could implement this, it would make a little bit of a difference in society is that highly televised and promoted public forums should be given at least once a month to discuss finances, race, relationships, healthcare, entertainment, and etc. amongst all cultures to help each other understand, you know what I'm saying, our people or people and what they need help with as far as asking the right questions, topics, and situations to be discussed in effort to peacefully coexist and find resolutions. I'm not with this.
People would be fighting.
Oh, well, I mean, that's the thing.
They would get in
well,
a
then
fight.
they would have to fight every month.
Somebody would fight.
But every month you fight till you get it right. But right now is, my thing is this.
I'm talking about physical fighting.
So you have people that will hound you every day for a certain amount of weeks within every 4 years because it's election time to get you to cast a ballot. But where the hell are these people after the ballot is casted to see what you got going on in your community, to ask you questions so that you can ask them questions so that you can hold them accountable? I don't see that. I don't see no forums, no public things, maybe NATO or something like that, and that ain't highly publicized, and that's probably damn near to fan the flames of a impeding war or something. And by the way, war would be outlawed. That's another thing on my list, because ain't no way you can tell me that we can resolve a resolution by unaliving people. That's just played out, and it's about time that the adults finally realize this shit, man. Like, they claim law and order, but the military always got beef with some other country. So leading by example, our politicians and political leaders don't even lead by example. They beefing with each other every time.
I mean, we don't really have the maturity in the world. Like, just because people are adults doesn't mean that they're mature. It doesn't mean that they have empathy. It doesn't mean that they have compassion. It doesn't mean that they're that they understand themselves, much less to care enough about other people. I mean, it takes a whole lot of balance to be a balanced person. And you got a bunch of people probably in office and in these positions who are not balanced at all. They're too much masculine energy. I'm just going to say that, mostly because I believe that there's more men in politics than women, and mostly men make these decisions. I call it war games, because it's like, oh, I don't play fair in the sandbox kind of fighting. It's like, it's childish to me. You won't give me what I want? Oh, okay, I'm going to take it. We're going to fight for it.
Some of the
this is the whole reason why there's such an uproar now with Kamala versus Trump, because not very many people want a woman in office. We've never really had that kind of power. So unfortunately, you're going to hear me say something and it might piss somebody off, but I don't care, because I'm going to speak my mind. Again, this is my authenticity. This is what men have brought. It's too much masculine energy in the world. There's not enough compassion. There's not enough love. There's not enough balance.
I mean, I'm not going to blame energy on feminine or masculine. I'm just going to say what's evil and what ain't. Because right now, if you really want to say what's trumping everything, is sex. And we know what's sexy and what sex is going to sell. So, I mean, it's just at some point, when do morals kick in, regardless of whether you're a man or a woman? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's what my show has always
in the beginning,
been about.
Early on, like we've been talking about in school-aged years, it most likely won't be learned. And I was only speaking of people in office. I'm not talking about everyone in the world. I was talking about the war games. That's masculine. That's masculinity, because men are the ones making most of the decisions when it comes to that.
I mean, well, I look at it like this. If that's what they choose to do, which is completely stupidity, in order to offset it, you're probably going to have a man to stand up against it. Or, I mean, to me, I would just say nations. An opposable force, I say, is man, woman, and child. That's how I look at it. It's going to take more than just man to solve this and resolve this.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I'm saying.
You got that on the plan, So it's
but
not
that's
just
what
like,
I'm saying. but a lot of men do not want women to have that kind of power. That's my point. It takes more than just the masculine energy to balance the world. It's going to take the feminine as well. And the thing of it is we all have both. We all have masculine and feminine energy. But if you're too far in your masculine energy, that means you got too much ego.
What happens if you're too far in your feminine energy? Since you said the duality.
You might be a little too soft or too emotional.
So who gauges and how do you gauge?
I guess you have to gauge it depending on what you're dealing with. I don't really know that there is no
meter.
I don't think there is a verbal gauge or a numerical gauge for something like that. That is just going to be something that has to be dealt with per situation. It's like, okay, does this situation require us to be more compassionate or more aggressive? It's that simple. Do we need more aggression in this scenario right here, or do we need a little bit more compassion? So it's on a case-by-case basis. It isn't something that can be quantitatively measured.
So I look at it like that's one reason why I said we have to have public forums and discussions. And the main thing I said was...
But they have those at the courthouses, usually in every state. They put that stuff out there, and they let you know when there are going to be community meetings and stuff like that. I've seen them even where I live.
But this is like, that's what you're talking about for
end
a
up
state.
Fighting each other.
I'm talking about like we have representatives, like I just mentioned, like NATO, like national, or like this is a world issue. My issues don't just be statewide.
Yeah, but we don't make the decisions, again.
And that's why I'm saying, like, I make decisions of what I got going on in my life. I make the decisions of what energy that I'm going to put out there. So I make the decisions about what I got going around within the matrix that I'm in. If you don't make decisions, then you probably either don't have a job or you're not productive. So what I'm saying is, based off of what I've seen and what my parents have seen for all of these years, and what you just said, whatever meetings you just said they had obviously ain't doing the trick. So
no, and that's my whole point. It's not. I don't even think it ever will. It's not. I don't even think it's meant to. It's just. I honestly think all this stuff is smoke and mirrors, and it's just to make people feel comfortable.
So if all of this is,
it's for appearances. For appearance purposes.
So
the government, the politicians, all of those people, the corporate conglomerates, all those people that are in bed together, they are going to do exactly what they want to do, the way they want to do it, when they want to do it, how they want to do it. No matter how we vote, shit is still going to go awry because they're going to do what they want to do. If it serves.
So my question
there's a lot
would
of
be,
shit that goes on that we don't see.
My question would be then is, what is the importance of a vote? If it's going to be that,
I don't think it's important. I'm different. I mean, people will argue with me all they want, but
I ain't gonna argue with you at all.
Matter on a certain level, because again, we voted a certain way, and yet shit is still messed up year after year. We keep voting, and nothing really changes. You got little changes here and there, little laws being changed and implemented, and la. To try to make people feel like they have a voice. It's smoke and mirrors.
From all of the laws that I've seen changed, they represent poverty, but I just don't be saying nothing. And what I mean representing poverty is it might be a law, you can get this and this and this and this EBT or whatever, and this and this and this, but you got to be broke to get it. So I don't want to be broke to get assistance and help. I want to have money and you put more money in my pocket. Not, I'm destitute.
See, that's what I'm saying. They don't have any intention.
Huh?
They don't have any intention of fixing
I know
things.
they don't.
So they make it so impossible for shit to be balanced for everyone.
So, this is the fifth thing that I said I would do if I wanted to implement something into society to change it some. I said that I would charge extra and separately for explicit, obscene, violent, and or dangerous content for entertainment purposes, if not censored or eliminated, and that's including the news. But basically, you're going to pay for your guilty pleasure or illicit content that would how can I say, influence negatively society. Like right now, you might say we paying for it like on Netflix and stuff like that, but that's just the norm. Imagine if you had to pay like $400 or $500 a month to see violence the way that we watching it now. Like you just want to go watch a Carlito's Way movie or some kind of Narcos, and you got to get charged, taxed $400 to watch that thing. I don't think a lot of people would be tuning in.
No.
But you can get positive all day for free.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, making things, make the hard stuff, the negative stuff difficult for us. It's so easy that everybody doing it and buying into it now. See, like I just said, righteous is hard to do, but negative is easy. When the negative starts becoming hard on us, and you start getting that instant karma, that instant, it just, like you said, duality just come right back at you, that instant justice, then we start wanting to change it. We be, oh man, I don't want that. I don't want it no more. I mean, because we start seeing the effects. But when we can sit up here and have fun all day with it, watch it how we want to watch it, and it's steadily destroying us, but since it doesn't really reach our backyard per se or hit us as close as we think it should, then it's not necessarily affecting us.
Mm-hmm.
What was your last one, or did you get to your last one?
I did. I wrote it.
I got you. So what do you think is like coming? One of the things that I definitely know the robots are coming. You know what I'm saying? I think a little bit more natural disasters are coming, that can, which will make certain things in society change a little bit, which is why we're having these discussions and topics, because hopefully somebody, you know what I'm saying, might feel like how we feel and usher in some peace or duality, like with this new stuff going.
Well, that's what's happening now, in case you don't know this. I mean, the world is changing, and people are scared. But I honestly believe that the world is changing for the better. But unfortunately, in order for things to change for the better, they have to get worse. Mm-hmm. That's just the way the world works. That is the duality of this universe that we are in. We are spirits having this human experience, and we have been given free will, and free will has run amok. And now we're paying for it. But Mother Nature will often step in and start ridding itself of the disease. We are the disease.
So, okay, now what we're going to have to start discerning is what is Mother Nature and what is man-made creating. Like how sometimes everybody got a name for a particular hurricane or something, maybe because somebody made it. You know what I'm saying? Like you have these CERNs, and you have, what can you say, these DARP, and you have all these other, and that's another thing where I say we headed with corporations. Corporations, man, they like thorns in our side in society. These corporations really be doing diabolical things, and they bankrolling the politicians.
Corporate conglomerates, and they back the politicians.
And so my thing is, and like I said in the last episode, you can tax them, but you ain't stopping nothing. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'll throw a little money somewhere to continue to make billions and continue to control you, pay you off. Like that's what the tax might be. Mm-hmm. Interesting. So that's another thing that's going to be headed that we got to look at too, is like taxes and restrictions for us. And a lot of times when I'm talking taxes, I mean like they taxing cash out. So PayPal. You have to report that. Exactly. Now you got to start reporting these things, which affects us, affects the amount of income. It's going to affect the bracket that you're going to be in.
Mm-hmm. Or you just have to get clever with it.
Of course.
And you have to
tax free,
mark it as a gift, rather than something
that's eventually, paper is, and that's what I was saying too. Like I said, print. If we make money, you can control poverty, which is obviously controlled. It's intentional, I believe, because It's nothing to make thousands of dollars and give it to somebody to bring them up out of a debt. I mean,
Yeah, it's just
a
everybody's
myth.
not
You just print it and
responsible.
give it out.
That's the problem. We have to go. That's why I said we need to really go further back because it needs to start from somewhere else before they even get to the part of earning money. If we have not taught people how to be responsible, like you said, those classes, those certain classes that are going to make people more balanced human beings in the universe, then all the money in the world isn't going to help a stupid person do anything more than be stupid.
But look, Stella, you know,
with extra money to be stupid with.
how you're mentioning, like, basically kind of like it's pretty much the upbringing. Well, it's like the heads of these corporations, these rich folks, their upbringing, they're brought up and bred to do what they're doing now. They be taking certain courses and they have access to schools and knowledge. You see what I'm saying? That we may not necessarily be able to just easily get to. And they implement these things. You know, you'd be surprised at how they will go to the left, because like we're talking about duality. So they do things spiritually, but it ain't the right way. You know, a lot of times, like I say, to keep these resources and to keep control, they may tap into higher powers. They do tap into nature. They do tap into something that's natural. But that doesn't mean that it's positive when they do that. So that's a stronghold. Like, I mean, I'm always one for like the challenge with that. Like, I've always thought like I want to think like them to defeat that, not think like them to join them, or to like mirror them, put a mirror to their face so that they can understand and see like, man, you really not slick. We see the mind games. We see the propaganda. We see the testing that you're doing on people. We see what you're putting in people's food. That's why I push for agriculture now. We got to start growing things because, hey, they can even spray fruit. Like, when you think you got something because it's coming from the earth, but they done already use these chemtrails that's coming down on it, or refuse to wash it a certain amount of times before they circulate it. You got E. coli that affects our vegetation. That was on some onions, according to, you know what I'm saying, what the survey was saying. So that's what I don't want. I don't want to be boxed in when you try to do it naturally. And you have no options. Like once again, you grow something that is a form of, how can I say, commerce. You could trade an apple for some money. You could trade it for some clothing if you got enough of them. You know, somebody want it, you know. You get the seeds too, though. See, it ain't just the apple. You got them seeds. Store some seeds away and then plant a tree now. Now you might be able to cut one of them down and use some as some bark or something at that point if you really have to. But that's how you recycle, and that's how you use agriculture.
Yeah.
These the kind of things, like I say, you said that maybe I should have like a school with all of that. If I had the finances and the investors, I would start certain things like this. I wouldn't necessarily try to publicize it as much or give coordinates and locations, because this the kind of stuff, this type of knowledge I want, you know, people try to shut it down.
Yeah. That's why, I mean, you do it privately, and you go to parents, and you solicit the parents directly, and you teach the class privately, like at a school or a library or a community center or something, and charge a nominal fee, or you create a 501c and do the classes and give them for free.
I'm more of an each one teach one. You know, I think a lot of the times knowledge has to be given away or shared, because too many people are putting prices on things nowadays, and people can't afford everything. Like, damn, man. I mean, we literally paying for all these particular apps to be entertained. I mean, and is the entertainment even really teaching us anything, first of all? But I'd rather than compete with all of that, I'm like, here, man, you can have it. Just give it to someone else.
And so that's the thing in life. Everything starts with you. It's like, you know, that's one of the reasons why I wrote my book, is because that's where my start was. My start was, okay, the only thing I can fix truly is myself.
Mm-hmm.
So when you fix yourself, and you also help heal the collective because you are healed.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're healed and you're a leader, healed, and you're leading as a healed person and you're creating things as a healed person, you help heal others.
Mm-hmm. It becomes
which is what I've done with my podcast, which is what my book has done. In its own way, it has helped so many people because I've had them come and tell me, girl, I listened to such and such and it really opened my eyes. I broke up with that person. Or my book has actually broken people up. So I won't say the book broke people up, but the truth broke them up. But it came through the book. And it also brought some people together. Mm-hmm. And I've taught people so many ways on how to heal themselves. And I'm letting people know, look, it's perspective. Your perspective is your reality. You got to change your perspective. You have to change your mindset. Mm-hmm. Because if you think about everything as a loss, you're going to
continue
sink into this low place.
Yeah.
If you have to look at things as rejection is protection. So I don't even believe in that word anymore. Like I tell people, I don't believe in rejection. And they look at me like I'm crazy. And they're like, what do you mean? I don't believe in rejection because there isn't any. Mm-hmm. There is no rejection. It's a no is just, okay, it's no for this person. There's 6 billion plus people out here. So no, maybe it's not that person, but you don't know what that was saving you from. You know what I'm saying? No, you didn't get this job. No, you didn't get that shoe you wanted. No, you didn't get this. It's not rejection. It's just not right now. Whatever. It's just how you look at it. It's how we look at things that changes it. And the only thing you can truly, truly change first is yourself. And if we're not going to contribute anything to society to help it,
So a lot of what I've learned, I kind of access it from nature and just what feels right. Like I had to understand that everybody not just born with a common sense latch that you can flip on and off, because I guess their conscience isn't as in tune as a lot of some of the people that I deal with and talk to.
Right,
as
and
a
that's
matter
why
of
we
fact,
have to teach them.
My enlightened beings are actually listening to this conversation. We got Johanse and Alicia, and you're on with me, Stella, and you actually you are 3 of some of the most important people that I talk to from time to time. And it's just that what I've been learning is when you have a certain amount of confidence and control amongst yourself as far as your temperament and knowing of who you are, you sit back and you just you alleviate a lot of stress by just letting things happen. It's almost like we have some people out there that really think they can almost put their hands out and stop the earth from rotating if they got mad enough, because everything's supposed to revolve around them. And so they never take the time out to look at, this person has to go through something as well, or what I'm doing affects this person, regardless if they want it to affect them or not. It's a ripple effect. It's just nature.
Yeah, we all affect the collective.
Exactly. And
we're all here together. It may not affect people, from a micro perspective, but it affects everything in a macro kind of way. It's like you said, it's a ripple effect, and it's going to come back around. But it's all great, like I said, to talk about things. But I like to, I definitely. I'll say this too, to add to that 5-year question. This kind of stuff that we're talking about, I will contribute to it more in my own way, and I do that through creativity, like the books and sketches and podcasts, and the way that I think, the way that I say things, the way that I see things. It's I'm doing my part that way, and you're doing your part this way.
And I see a lot more people like aligning, like. That's the thing, like this duality thing that we're talking about. At some point, you have beings that are going to pick a side. Like,
yeah, but here's the thing. Guess what? This wouldn't be happening if it weren't for the darkness.
Clearly,
that's what I'm trying to say to people in general. You can't have one without the other. So it's just go through it, because you're going to have the only way to seek the light is because you were in the dark. The only way to seek goodness is because you felt bad. The only way, you see what I'm saying? So it's like they're people, on the same spectrum.
It's almost like we living in another testament of a New Age Bible or something. You see what I'm saying? And it's like while we're trying to live out of Revelations at the same time, but at some point, like, it's going to boil down to how people are being treated and whether they can take enough of it or not. Because we're already being controlled. We get that. So people can be controlled, but how are they treated when they're being controlled? And the treatment is starting. They can't
control your mind, though, unless you let them.
Well, yeah, you're right about that. I mean, when I mean control the atmosphere that we're in right now, it's a controlled
no. I knew exactly what you meant. I was just agreeing with you and also saying that, but at least we still have control of our own mind.
Yeah, and our soul.
And that's where it all starts.
Yeah.
And if we as a collective start changing and healing our mind, we would actually change and heal the world.
Clearly.
Better.
Clearly.
Because that energy starts to spread. And that's what I'm saying to you is despite the war, despite the talk of war, despite the shit that we see on social media, despite all of that, that is literally what is happening right now. It is called a new earth. A new earth is being formed, and the spiritualists, the spiritual people, the high vibrational people are now starting to emerge.
Yeah.
And starting to heal the collective. We just have to hold on and have faith and believe it, and we got to change. We have to change ourselves and help other people change. We have to help other people learn to tap in.
So, like, I'm always one to say we one with the earth. So the spiritual beings we're understanding, man, they're literally destroying the planet. Can't nobody win with that. You see what I'm saying? As far as like I say,
but okay, I'm sorry. Let me interject real quick.
Go ahead.
However, and I get what you're saying, and I agree to a certain extent. However, the universe cannot be destroyed. Man is not powerful enough to destroy this universe.
No,
Mother Earth is an ecosystem in and of itself, and it will destroy us before it allows us to destroy it.
Clearly, which is why we got the global warming at 3 degrees, about to jump up to 5.
It's getting rid of the toxins. And again, we are the toxins. That's why I really don't trip anymore when people are, they're like, oh, I'm like, you know what? I'm doing right. So I ain't worried.
I mean,
I'm not worried. I'm not
worried.
Scared. We're all going to die one day.
Oh, clearly that.
Whether
we're going to unalive one day. But the thing is this, like, there is no worry, but there's just awareness, like, and being prepared. Like, I'm aware that if you unthaw a certain section of land that has been dormant, you may release viruses and chemicals and things into the air, bacteria, microorganisms and things like that ain't never been, you see. And some of them are actually over there trying to extract it on purpose. But all I can say is it's been a wonderful life, no matter what they got going on, because life is precious. So even when they do these diabolical things, even when I can see things coming down the pipeline, I be waking up thankful for the air. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And I want another shot at it, But I always encourage my people, man, because and it ain't even about systematic encouragement. It's just about believing in yourself. Like, things that just ain't necessarily taught, I try to, implement into people in their daily ways.
Yeah. And you're doing a great job of that, like, starting your podcast and sharing and spreading it. This is healing the collective.
Well, I definitely appreciate you coming through.
Thank you for letting me.
Oh, and you need to start letting people.
I put in the chat where they could find the book.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I see that. And you put your IG information and all that other good stuff out there for us.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
You can say it because they can hear you.
Okay, just at Boxing Stella Podcast on TikTok and Instagram. on Facebook, it's just under StellNova.
You feel like doing this again one Monday?
Sure.
So, okay, cool.
I just hope we can get the video together. I would really like to do it.
Yeah. We'll work on that. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. It would have been nice to
just
have
a little
you
bit
on
more of a
and then you might have to
personal,
come in person, live. You know that
yeah.
too.
When I pop through home, when I pop through Atlanta one day, you'll be one of the first people I let know, other than my fam.
Yep. Is there any?
And I'll make my way back home eventually.
So, anything that you would like to leave the viewers and listeners with?
With the people's
little bit of advice or anything that you would like to say to them? Yeah.
I would. I would like to say whatever it is that is on your heart, on your mind, in your spirit. The little voice inside is like, oh, you should do this. You should do it. Don't hesitate. Find a way. Get on your computer. If you don't have a computer, go to the library. If you can't get to the library, I don't know, rent one or rent to own one until you can own it yourself. Like, just find a way, because to me, there's no excuses now. There's too much information out there. Mm-hmm. We live in an information society. There, everything you can find, everything you ever wanted on that freaking laptop, and just change your perspective. Like, rather than complain about social media and what's wrong with it, look at what's right with it. Lean more towards the positive, because social media has done a lot of good as well. It has brought to light a lot of the injustices that we didn't know existed, or we knew that they existed, but we just couldn't see them. We couldn't touch them. We couldn't hear them. We couldn't, you know what I'm saying? Now we can actually get to stuff. We can get to people. We can see that they're lying about this country. We can see this stuff now. That's a good thing. Yes, there's fights on there, but there's also love. There's also a Black Love Collective on there. There's also a Black Father Collective. There's also a White and Black People Collective. There's also so many different collectives of beautiful things happening on there. Lean more toward the positive and just change your perspective.
So just like we were talking about duality, I'm glad you brought that up, because when we do things like this is another option. Like, somebody could be either looking at Monday Night Football, somebody could be looking at a trial, somebody could be looking at drill rap music videos right now. But yet, they could be looking at us.
Individual movies.
Or they could be looking at us. You see what I'm saying? And I'm with you. I'm thinking more and more people are going to be more along the lines of what we got going on. They're looking for content that's actually positive. They're tired of being shocked and triggered and depressed about what's coming through their phones and whatever algorithm that has been quote unquote created that keeps, you know what I'm saying, pumping.
But we kind of create our own little algorithm as well, because what you look at on a regular basis is what they start showing you on a regular basis. So people still have to change their mindset. If you don't want to see the fights, you have to unfollow the pages that show that kind of stuff, and then it'll stop coming up in your feed.
Another thing that I would like to kind of like piggyback on and definitely stress to my viewers, and then we get ready to wrap it on up. But as I'm getting ready to go into this new year, I'm going to have a team, or as one of my partners, one of my Soft G's would say, a tribe. And with that tribe, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's close-knit, closed circuit, communicating, like-minded people. You don't have to worry about anything negative when someone comes. Like, my people literally, like, that I can trust and that I listen to, they come to me with resolutions. They come to me with positive things. They don't come to me with problems. And if it appears to be a problem, it's an experience that they're having that I can relate to. We chop it up. We wish each other the best. We support each other on it, and we give each other a resolution, and we call it a day. We don't be harping on this, trying to bring the next person down or trying to be a misery loves company type person. I'm just, like I say, I'm not through with helping people, but I'm through with the having the stress to help people. Because, like you say, helping is healing. And so I just wanted to, like I say, just appreciate you once again and my team, you know, that's tuning in. And we ready to go. We on go for this upcoming year.
Yes, I love it.
All right. So with that,
and when I was saying change your perspective, I didn't mean you guys. I meant like the general collective that might be listening. Oh,
clearly. We talk about perspective all the time and projecting too. So we've actually literally had a podcast episode on that, which once again shows how, you know, we're friends. You know what I'm saying? We think kind of alike. Yeah. So that's that Virgo power though, by the way.
Yes. Virgo twin power. Activate.
Exactly.
But I hope you guys will check out my book. It is a dope book. Mm-hmm. You need to use it. Use it when you meet somebody new. Use it with your friends, family, on a road trip. It is so useful. And the podcast is crazy. It's a crazy wild ride because it's my alter ego.
Okay.
And a lot of my comedy comes out.
And what I need you to do, I need you to keep that book by your side, because the next time we do this, I want you to actually read a couple of excerpts out that book. And as a matter of fact,
I can ask some of the questions.
When we off air, I'ma holler at you. Give me some ideas from the book. We'll do a topic out your book, and then we'll stretch it like that when we do another episode.
There really is no topic. It's like it's a book of questions.
A book of questions.
So we just literally we can pull numbers. We can use birth dates, like however you want to do it.
Yeah,
I'll ask that question, and then everybody that's listening can chime in on the chat and answer the questions. It's fun. It's so much fun. You get to know each other, you know, get to know people so much easier and faster using it.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
With that being said, peace out, everyone. That's Dosed Up, another episode. Shout out to all my Chevy riders, though. Later.
Peace and love, y'all. Thanks for having
me. Love you. Yeah. Yeah. Grams leaders CC's pounds. Close gap, close call, close encounter, close up, pounds of leaders of grams, get your dosed up, cut this up, host up, and get dosed up. This for them voted like the movement, make the most of. Monday night at 8, I can't wait to set you straight. These opinions and debates, for them folk they can't relate. I gotta elevate your mind through these signs of the time. Dishing out that medication for that deaf, dumb, and blind. And I ain't hard to find, you can catch me in no trenches. I do the groundwork and I ain't waiting on no sense. I be touching on them topics politicians fail to mention. And I don't vote for nobody that ain't got good intentions. I'm relentless for my people and I'm here to make a change. I got that true serum hooked directly through your vein. Hey, this is for my people. Tune in, catch it closer, 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 a closer. Grams of it, tune leaders of it, closer, pounds of it.